Hey guys, Sean from Trailgrid Pro. Today we've partnered once again with Soundskins Global to bring to you the first pre-cut sound deadening for your 24 and up Toyota Tacoma. Today's video we're going to show you and install the Soundskins 4-door kit for your 24 and up Tacoma, as well as go ahead and install our 4-piece speaker kit. So before we go any further, Cliff and I had a brief discussion about why sound deadening is important.
Hey, what's up guys? It's Cliff and Sean from Trailgrid Pro. Super pumped to be back with you today. We're here to talk about sound deadening. Specific sound deadening kits for your Toyota vehicle, or some universal options if you don't want to get the full specific kits. Now, Sean, for those watching, just to give them some context, you are an MECP Master Certified Technician. You know audio. You've been doing it for a long time. 30 years?
30 years, almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years. Why sound deadening?
So it's going to block out some of that road noise and just exterior noise. It's going to make your audio sound better. It's actually going to keep your car a little warmer in some cases, depending on how much you actually use in your vehicle. And there's specific pre-cut kits that make it so much easier than it was in the past.
Absolutely. And you know, so I know from my experience, so we sound deadened the 4Runner before we went to Overland Expo East. Ripped everything out. We sound deadened the whole thing. So I got into it, and it was a wildly different experience. The audio system was the same before and after, and I could just, everything just sounded like it was on top of me. It was incredible. And so stamp of approval, sound deadening, kind of the importance of it when it comes from an audio perspective. One of the cool things that Dennis, the CEO of Soundskins, said to us, he said, it doesn't matter if you upgrade the audio. Your audio will be upgraded simply by installing sound deadening. So you could have your factory OEM system and you put sound deadening in, it's going to really tighten up the audio performance. But obviously, if you invest in a new head unit, speakers, amp, sub, it's kind of a no-brainer. You got to do it.
Just by keeping the metal from vibrating and doing things like the speaker ring kit, where you actually will put that around your speakers and it creates a buffer between the speaker and your door panel to not allow any of that extra audio to escape sideways. World of difference.
So over here we have another universal option. So this is the backing kit. So
yeah, so this will actually go behind the speaker on the metal.
So essentially the backing plate, any noise that goes toward the door, you know, not into the vehicle, is absorbed and then redirected so there's no rattle.
Exactly.
Keeps everything on the interior cabin, which is what you want when it comes to the audio performance in your vehicle. So what we're going to have is we're going to have custom vehicle specific kits. So we've been selling these already, and they're selling like crazy without any of our installation videos, which is what Sean's going to get into. Custom vehicle door solutions for a Tacoma, 4Runner, Tundra, already pre-cut so that you can have an easy install in your driveway or garage. And then we've got some extras, universal solutions, which we just went over, and then some install help, a roller. A roller is going to go a long way.
It absolutely will.
Yeah, to make sure that everything sticks the way it should so that your sound deadening kit is installed perfectly the first time. All right, so we've got the stamp of approval from our own Sean, 30-year Master Certified Technician, Cliff, Trailgrid Pro. I've heard it all. Sound deadening, you need it. But let's hear it from the very own CEO of Soundskins. He has no idea we're calling. So we're going to put him on blast. We're going to FaceTime him right now and see what happens. Oh, hey, Dennis.
Oh, hey.
You were calling me on purpose.
Yeah.
I am calling you on purpose. You know why?
Tell me.
We wanted to hear it from the mouth of the master himself. Why do we need sound deadening, Dennis?
Man, you know what our slogan is? The proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
We want you to take the sound test, the knock test, and put us against anybody and see where we stand.
Absolutely.
We prove our position.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, the good news is you don't have to convince us. We've got Sean here, 30-year, as you know, Master Certified Technician. We've got CJ here. I love your products. I got them in my 4Runner. But you got it from the mouth of the man himself, Dennis. Soundskin Sound Deadening is the way to go. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, brother. Thank you so much.
Thanks, CJ.
All right, see ya. All right, Sean, the verdict's in. Sound deadening, way to go. From Soundskins, vehicle-specific solutions for your Toyota. What do you say we get this installed?
Let's do it.
All right.
So before we get into any of the actual installation, show you what's included. So you have both front driver's and passenger door kit, and that also includes the vapor barrier. And then we have both driver and passenger rear doors. Now as for the speaker kit, you get 4 pieces of Soundskins that will go on the inner side of the door. I'll show you how to do it all, from prepping your Soundskins, disassembly of your door panels, installation of the Soundskins material, as well as reassembly of your truck. Now with that being said, let's go ahead, grab our tools that are going to be necessary for today's installation. First, we're going to need a screw gun or a handheld Phillips screwdriver, 10mm socket or wrench. We're going to need a couple of panel popper tools. So here's a flat blade as well as a split. We're going to need a razor knife, and optional is the Soundskins roller, which is available for purchase at trailgridpro.com when you are purchasing your Soundskins kit. So now that we've gone over the tools necessary to complete the installation, let's go over how to prep your Soundskins to turn it from just a flat piece to where we are ready to install. So let's go ahead, get that done now. So the prepping of the Soundskins material is relatively easy. It's already pre-cut. You just have to kind of remove all the little holes. So this is the driver's front door. You may notice that this is the actual vapor barrier inside the truck. Now, one thing that is a little bit weird with this is it has some very, very thin materials in between on the side here. If you tear it, it's not a big deal. It's still going to cover the entire area. First thing I like to do is get rid of all of my excess material on the outside. The nice thing is you can actually use that and cut that up as well and use that on the interior part of the metal of the truck. So let's start. Again, it's all pre-cut. You just gently kind of pull. And again, if you rip some of these little breaks, not a big deal at all, but you just want to kind of keep pulling all the way until you're left with just the interior section. Now when you come to these dots, just kind of push up on them as you're pulling it out. Again, push up and keep pulling. So now when we come to this side, again, push up on the little dot on each one. So I already kind of ripped it there. Again, it's not a big deal. You just have to kind of be as careful. If you would like to use a razor knife, you can. So there we go. So I kind of just make sure it's all up and then just remove it. Again, you can cut this with scissors, a razor knife, if you want to use the excess on the interior portion of the truck. So let's get this out of the way. So now we're left with the main body of the Soundskins material. You'll see lots of dots all over. So we're going to go ahead, get rid of all those. Easiest way is just push up with your finger and then kind of peel it out. Again, just be careful, take your time. So, and you're going to do that a whole bunch of times. Just want to make sure you get them all. So let's just double check. Oh, got this one here. So now it looks like we got all of our dots out. Now we have to remove our vapor barrier section because this will actually go in as well, but it will not go in as one piece. So again, just like the rest of it, kind of pop it out and start disconnecting it. Keep going around. So you can see right here, I accidentally ripped it. Again, not a big deal at all. And then this one there. There we go. So now I have this out. Go ahead and remove this last middle one here. There we go. So now we have our driver's side all done. So just double check. Yep, looks like it's good. So there's our driver's door completely ready to go. So now I'm gonna put this to the side, go grab my driver's rear door, get that all taken care of, and then we can hop right into disassembly of the driver's front door and show you how to install it. One thing to think ahead about before we remove this door panel is there's going to be a whole bunch of cables and wiring back there. It's smart to take a picture of it before you start removing everything and unplugging stuff, just so you have an idea and know exactly where everything should go. So with that being said, let's get this door panel removed and show you what everything on the inside looks like. Now in 2024, Toyota completely redesigned, obviously, the Tacoma, but also the door panel, so it won't be like any of the other previous generations. So we have a couple of screws that are hidden behind things. We have a sail panel we need to take off. So let's go ahead and begin with the sail panel. This you can really just kind of pop right off. Just do it gently. Get that all popped off. Then we have a push clip right in the back side. Just push that in, reach in with your fingernail and remove. Make sure you push it back out before reassembly. We do still have a screw behind the door mechanism here. So we're going to grab our panel removal tool and just kind of gently pry out to remove. Now behind there is one screw. So we can go ahead and get that removed. So there's that screw. Now comes some of the differences between the previous generations and the new one. Behind this trim panel is a screw. So you're gonna go ahead, grab it, push it kind of forward, just push straight, and then gently remove it. You can see it kind of latches in there with these hooks. So in behind here, you'll have one screw. So let's get that one out. So there's the screw behind there. So now we have one last thing that we need to remove, and that is the window and the door lock switch. It is very, very tight to the door panel, so be extremely careful. Use a very thin panel tool, kind of get yourself in there. You just kind of pop it up through. You can see I'm starting to get it here. And then finally you'll be able to get kind of underneath there and just gently pop it all the way out. You want to be extremely careful that you don't mar up your door panel. So from there, 2 switches on the driver's side, just unplug them both. And then that will also reveal the last screw here. So we can go ahead and pop that off. So that's the screw that comes out behind the window switch. So now we've got all of our screws out. We can go ahead and remove the door. Now again, in previous generations, you had to pop it and then lift it up. Now it is all just popping directly off from the door panel itself, no more lifting it up. So go ahead and just kind of gently start popping those clips. Keep popping them all the way up through. Once you have those, it'll basically come out. Same design from the back side as previous generations, where you have the 2 cables, white one on top, green on the bottom. Go ahead and just pop them out, lift them up out of their holder. Pop that green one and then lift it out of the holder. You'll be able to see there's a little notch on both of them. So now that these are disconnected, you can go ahead, put your driver's door panel in a safe spot. And then next we'll go over what we need to remove as far as to get our Soundskins installed. So now that we have our door panel removed, we need to remove some of the harnessing as well as the plastic vapor barrier to install our Soundskins, as well as our factory speaker. Doesn't matter if it's the regular base model audio or the JBL amplifier, it's still going to be the exact same either way. So let's go ahead, start getting some of these harnesses out of the way. You'll see some plugs that will have to be unplugged, but let's go ahead and start with our speaker. There we go, get that unplugged. We'll go ahead and remove the 4 screws from the speaker. Set them to the side and just gently remove. Now there are some little clips to kind of hold the speaker in. And again, you want to make sure when you reinstall it that you reinstall it correctly. So from there, let's go ahead and get these plugs unplugged by just pushing in and removing. And we have the one over here. Go ahead and get that removed. So let's go ahead then and remove some of these wire harnesses, as well as our airbag plug and our power mirror plug. So starting at the power mirror, you can just kind of stick that up there so it stays out of the way. Next, the airbag impact sensor. Go ahead and just release. I usually like to try to reach in and press in on the back, releasing them. Sometimes that doesn't work. That way you can actually just grab your panel tool, slide it in there, and remove it. And you're going to do the same thing with all of them. Again, just take your time. We're in no rush here. All right, so we have all of our harnessing removed. Next comes the vapor barrier. So there are 3 turn knobs. Turn them counterclockwise to unlock. And then there's a couple of hold-in pins. So we'll grab our panel popper and just gently remove those. And that one went flying. They all went flying. So then we can go ahead and remove our plastic vapor barrier. I went, retrieved all of our clips for a plastic vapor barrier. We're just gonna go ahead and set that on the ground behind us. Now we wanna kind of clean it up, grab a towel, wipe anything down, make sure there's no oil or grease anywhere on the actual door panel. We're gonna go ahead and actually get this one removed here. There we go. So we're gonna leave that kind of hang out. We're gonna go ahead and leave this hang out for now. I'm gonna grab a towel, just kind of wipe it all down. There's some water in here. Just make sure nothing's there that could affect the adhesion of the Soundskins kit. So I got a towel here, just go ahead, wipe everything down, just to make sure. I'm also gonna wipe the inside near where my speaker hole is, because we're gonna go ahead and do the speaker kit as well. So there we go. Just make sure it's all good. Cool. So now we can go ahead and just kind of stick our wiring harness in, kind of keep it out of the way. One thing you want to be careful of is now that this airbag wire is unplugged, you want to make sure you do not turn on the car in any way. So here we go, we're good here. So let's go ahead, grab our speaker kit, show you kind of what to do there. So we have our Soundskins speaker kit. You'll receive 4 of these in the box. Now they are meant to go in the general area behind the speaker. There's no wrong way to install the speaker kit. You can cut it in half. You can kind of place it wherever you would like. Completely up to you. Now for me, I like to cut them in half, kind of get half on top, half below before or on the other side of the crash bar. Again, it's completely up to you. There's no wrong way. So I'm gonna go ahead, cut it in half. Go ahead, remove it from the paper. And then I just gently stick it in, get it positioned. Then we're gonna go ahead and get it pressed down. Grab our handy dandy roller and just gently rub it in. There we go. Then grab that other half. And I'll show you on the camera how I have it. Again, no wrong way of doing it. Completely up to you. So kind of get it positioned in there. There we go. Now the real reason that you would want to add Soundskins to the inside of your door panel is to kind of take out some of that ring from the outside of the door. So here is where you would take all that excess from each of your door panels, cut it up real nicely, kind of place it in some different spots. I'm not going to do that in this video only because it would take too long. So we'll continue on from there. But let me show you kind of on video what I did on the interior. So once you've completed any prep of the interior portion of the door, we can go ahead and hang our exterior portion on. So go ahead and just remove a little bit of the top. So that's just to kind of get it stuck. So get some of that down there. And again, as you can tell, I ripped it. So, but again, no big deal. Go ahead and get that. So this should line up directly with everything. I like to just kind of get it stuck on there to line it up. So just like that. So I'm happy with the top portion. I see all of my holes that I need. Maybe get, there we go. So there, I'm happy with that. Go ahead and just lightly press that on. Kind of get it stuck down. From there, we can go ahead and fold up and start removing some more of the paper backing. Okay. Now you just want to kind of, again, make sure everywhere that there's a hole, there should be something on the other side that you can see. So we're good there. Go ahead and pull this all the way off. And again, just kind of continuing on down to there. So we'll roll that on at the very end. So let's finish removing our paper. Setting that aside. There we go. So now just, again, just making sure everything is good. Making sure all of our speaker holes are good. So then you can start pressing it down, kind of getting it locked in. If you have the roller, go ahead, start rolling over everything. If not, just use your hands. Just be careful. There is metal underneath the foam. You could potentially cut your hands. There you go. Kind of awesome. There we go. So now we have our material on the door. We're going to need to make our cut to replace our factory speaker. So for that, we're just going to go ahead, grab a knife, kind of get it in, find the edge of our speaker, and then just kind of go around, sawing the material away. There we go. Now we have that removed. Any excess, again, not a big deal. You can just go back through, cut it off, finish cutting it off. There we go. So we can get rid of that. So with this piece, you can place it anywhere you want. Since we don't have anything in there yet, we'll go ahead and just kind of throw it in here. Give a little bit of sound deadening to the back side of the door. So now our sound deadening material is on. We can go ahead and pull all of our harnesses back through. Kind of get them ready to go, as well as our door lock and our door latch. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and get that plugged in. And then we can start getting some of the different harnesses plugged into where they go. Just go back the same way that you disassembled them. So plug that one in, plug that one in. So now we have our airbag sensor, and then last we'll have our plug that goes up top. But before we do that, we need to grab our vapor barrier, get that back in. So we'll grab those, stick our latches through, get everything kind of lined up. Go ahead and get push pins pushed back in. We can get our harness back in there and then plugged in. So make sure those are plugged in. So from there, grab our 3 locks. Get them in. Again, they came out. So all 3 of those are locked in. And then the piece, now this piece will say driver's front vapor barrier. It'll have a 2 on it. That'll go right in this area here. So just remove the protective paper. Get that off. Just line that up. And then go ahead and get it pressed on there. Again, if you want to use some of that excess that you had from taking it off and weeding it, you can put that in other places. Again, completely up to you, however you want to do it. But for now, let's just roll this here, get it on. And there we go. Now that's on, we can go ahead and get our speaker back in. Make sure we get that plugged back in. So again, 2 little lips on there. Just kind of feed it in. There we go. Kind of get it lined up with the holes and get all 4 screws back in. So now we have all 4 screws back in. Just simply plug the speaker back in. So now our Soundskin is applied. We just want to double check, make sure all of our plugs are plugged back in and seated correctly. So just check everything, kind of give a little tug, make sure all of our pins are back in. Let's go ahead and plug in our power mirror. So now we have 2 plugs left. Those are for our door locks and our window switch, so we can leave them hang. And again, just make sure your white cable is on top, the green cable is down below. So now we can go ahead, just again, double check everything, and then we can grab our door, get that reinstalled. So again, our door panel, we don't have to hang it, it will go directly in. Just make sure that you did not lose any of your clips when you removed it. First thing we're going to want to do is start with the green, get that in, and then locked in. And then we're going to go ahead and do the white, get that locked in. Make sure you grab your window switches and just get it in the general area here. And then go ahead and get your door panel lined up. So once you're lined up, You should be able just to tap it into position and lock those pins back in. So you have to remember, now you have a little bit more material on the inside of the door, so you may have to give it a little bit of a harder hit, but now we are on there. I see that my screw holes are lining up. I have my window switch and my door lock switch here. So let's go ahead, get all of our screws back in, and get everything reassembled. So I'm going to start with my window switch. That is the longer screw. Go ahead and get that one in first. There we go. Next, I'm going to go ahead and get the screw in the door handle. That is the smaller black. Get that in. And then the last screw is going to be the smaller coarse thread silver screw. That'll go into here. So get that tightened up. So now we have some of the accessories to kind of put back on. So starting with the trim panel up top, just line it up, push it directly in. Next we have our pop clip back in this back corner. Again, make sure you pull that out and just get that in, push it flat, not all the way in. We have our door handle cover. Just slide that in and push direct straight in. Next we have our trim panel for the armrest. Again, lining that up, pushing it towards the outside of the door panel, locking that in. And lastly, we have our power window and door lock switch. They are color coded, black, white. Plug that one in, plug that one in. Now I like to check my door locks to make sure that my cable is secure. So we can hit lock, unlock, everything locks and unlocks. That's awesome. So, and then gently slide that back into position and then press straight down. Now moving on to the rear door, we're going to go ahead and get this disassembled. So we're going to start out with the door handle. Go ahead and remove that trim cover there by just popping it directly out with your panel removal tool. Go ahead and grab that screw. So again, just like the front, small black screw for that. So here's where the difference is. We're just going to be removing the handle with the window switch. Again, you need to be extremely careful because it's thin. You just want to kind of get it up a little bit, all the way out. But again, just being very careful. You don't want to scratch any of your interior. So once you have it out, get this, there we go. So you just want to kind of pull straight up, disconnect your plug, set that aside. That'll reveal 2 screws that we'll need to remove the door panel. So let's grab our screw gun. There's number 1. So there's the 2 screws from the door panel. So now we can just kind of pop it out. We don't need to remove this trim panel as the door panel actually goes over top of it. So again, just like the front, start popping it off. Get this last one here, there we go. And then we can just kind of pull this off. There we go. And then that will reveal exact same 2 cables for the door lock and the door mechanism. Go ahead and remove each one of those. Again, white is on top, green is on the bottom. Go ahead and set your door panel to the side, keep it out of the way. So now our door panel is removed, it's in a safe spot. We can go ahead and begin the prep of our door panel, getting all of our plugs out, our speaker removed, the vapor barrier off. So I'm gonna go ahead, start with our speaker, get that unplugged, remove the 3 screws holding it in. So go ahead and remove the speaker. So now we have some plugs, just like the front door. Press in and just go ahead and release those. So now those are off. Then you're going to grab your panel removal tool and just kind of pop all of these plugs out. So there's those 3. So now we need to remove the plastic vapor barrier in this. Now this can be extremely, extremely sticky, but just do your best to remove it. You just want to kind of get it all off. If you don't get all of this black butyl tape off, it's not a big deal. Luckily, these are newer vehicles, so it hasn't really hardened all the way up. So you should be able to get it off relatively easily. So just kind of keep pulling, getting it all off, and then removing the wiring from there. There we go. So I have a little bit here. Again, not a big deal, but we're gonna go ahead and just throw this away. Next thing we wanna do is go ahead, wipe it all down, make sure it's clean, no grease, no oil, as well as since we're gonna do the speaker kit on the inside of the door, we're gonna go ahead and wipe the inside of the door down. Making sure there's nothing in there, nothing weird. Get it all wiped down. There we go. So now we are ready to go ahead and grab our other speaker square. First thing we're gonna wanna do though before is just kind of look at it, see where we're gonna put it, how it's gonna go. So again, this one I'll probably cut into thirds and place behind that speaker. So let's grab that. So now I have my speaker kit. I can go ahead and cut that down. Again, there's no wrong way to do this. Again, I'm gonna cut it into thirds, place it inside. So I have my pieces. Go ahead and hop down and just get it all lined up exactly where you want it. So there's the first one. Just be careful, there is sharp metal back in here. Be cautious of, you know, kind of where you put your hands. Side of the door there. And put the last piece on the crash bar here. Kind of sneak that in here. Now once it's all in, if you have room, go ahead and just kind of get your Soundskins roller, get that rolled in, all nice and tightened down. So now that behind our speaker is all done, we can go ahead and grab our front piece to begin to start setting that on. Again, just like the front, now we're going to be covering up this entire thing. So let's grab that. So now we have our piece of Soundskins. Just double check that there's a number 3 and it says driver's rear door panel. So just strip again the top couple of inches off. Just like that. Now we're gonna kind of get it placed in the general area of where it needs to go. So I'm here, so this side needs to go up just a hair. There we go. All right, we can kind of get that top on, and then go ahead and roll it up. Start removing the more of the paper. So one thing you're gonna wanna do is this little T here. We're gonna grab our door lock cables, kind of fish them through there. So they will end up just like that. So keep kind of just gently pressing it down once you're satisfied with the alignment. And go ahead and remove the rest of the paper. Okay. So now we have a hole right here. This is where our wires and our plugs will come back through the door. So just feed those back in. Kind of get everything settled back down. And again, just gently pressing down, making sure that everything is still lining up just as it should. Make sure around our speaker hole here. So once you're happy, again, go ahead and roll your Soundskins to help with adhesion. Once you're happy with how it looks, you can go ahead and begin putting all your plugs back into place. Again, just remember, hopefully you took a picture of everything prior just to know where everything kind of goes. So we'll get everything back in here. Get our plugs plugged back in. There we go. Get our plugs back in there and in there. That will be for our speaker. That's for our window switch. There we go. So now we need to cut our hole out to accommodate our speaker again. So just like the front door, go ahead and make a small cut till you hit the edge, and then just go the whole way around. Doesn't have to be perfect, just pretty close. So just cut a little bit more off here. There we go. If you want to put this somewhere, you can go ahead and cut it out and just kind of reach up onto the door, get that wherever it fits. There we go. So if you're happy, get everything done, we can go ahead and grab our factory speaker, get that back in and aligned, grab our 3 coarse thread bolts. Go ahead and get those all screwed back on. And let's make sure we plug it back in. So let's just check, make sure everything's plugged back in. We don't have to worry about any airbags on the driver's rear door. Let's just kind of go over, make sure everything's stuck down. So now I'm happy with how it looks, how it's adhered. I can go ahead, grab my door panel, get that rehung. So let's do that. So just like on the front door, same thing. We have to reattach our door mechanism cables and run our power window switch in. So starting with the bottom, which is the green, get that locked in. Moving to the top, which is white, get that locked in. Then we're gonna grab our window switch and just feed it into the opening. So then we can kind of get our door panel placed. Get it all lined up. There we go. Cool. So now our door panel is all realigned. So now we can start reassembling the door, starting with the 2 screws in the actual handle itself. Those are going to be the larger silver screws here. Careful, my window switch here. Go ahead and grab that, get that plugged in, make sure it's in. And just like the front, just be gentle when you're getting this window switch back in. Press it straight down to lock it in. Now we have our 1 small black screw to go into the door handle itself. And then our cover. There we go. Make sure our door lock works, our handle works. You want to listen for that release mechanism. So now we're done with the driver's rear door. Next, we're going to move over to the passenger front door and begin disassembly on that. Moving on to the passenger front door. So the disassembly process is almost exactly the same as the driver's front. So you're going to remove the trim, pop clip there, here, get all these screws out. So let's go ahead, get this door removed. Again, just be very careful when removing the window switch. Okay, now that we got everything out, we can get some screws out. Now that everything's out, go ahead and pop our door panel. And pop our door handle and our door lock cables. There you go. Now let's go ahead and get everything on the inside all disconnected. Again, just like the front door. Let's get our factory speaker out. There we go. Now let's go ahead and get all of our plugs removed. We can pop our clips here. There we go. And one last clip here. There we go. So let's go ahead. Let's get our door panel wiped down. Perfect. So now we can go ahead and hide everything kind of in here for now. There we go. So now we can go ahead, grab our speaker kit, do just like we did in the front door, cut it in half, get it placed in there. So let's do that. There we go. So I got my bottom half in. get this top half in here. There we go. Perfect. Now that's good. So next, go ahead, we can grab our passenger side Soundskins pre-cut panel, get it set in. Again, I ripped a section over here. It's not a big deal. Once we get it all placed in, we can piece that in, no problem. So let's go grab that. So again, we just want to confirm number 4, passenger front door panel. So we can get that on there. Again, start by just removing the protective paper from the top, just enough that you can get it stuck. So let's get it lined up here, about where it's gonna go. Right around there. Yep. There we go. I should just pull the rest of this off. Just place that right back on there like that. So kind of, now that I'm happy with it, kind of just get it locked down there. So now we can go ahead and fold this up. Get a lot of this paper removed. There we go. Then just kind of gently make sure everything's kind of lined up. Finish off by removing the rest of the paper. Once you're happy, go ahead and push everything down. Grab your roller if you have it. Just get everything kind of rolled out nice and tight. So now everything's rolled out pretty nicely. We can go ahead, cut our hole out for our speaker. There we go, got that out. Go ahead and throw this little extra chunk inside here. Go ahead and pull out our cabling. Grab our plastic vapor barrier. Go ahead and get your cabling back through. Get that all lined up. Make sure your cable is in the right spot. Push that all in. There we go. Let's get our clips back in. And again, going to start them kind of off and head straight up. There we go. So now we can go ahead and get all our wires plugged back in and where they need to go. Again, I always suggest you take a photo beforehand, like I said on the first door. So get all that plugged in. And that. Get our mirror plugged back in. You and you. There is our power window and door lock switch, and we have our speaker plug there. So now everything looks like it's on. Let's go ahead, get our speaker put back in and plugged in. Now all 4 screws are in. Let's make sure we plug it back in. So that's in. That's tight, tight, tight. Perfect. So now we just grab the little piece for here. And again, if you want to use your extra other places, please feel free to do so. You can never have too much sound deadening, especially in some of these vehicles that are kind of noisy when you're driving down the road, like this Tacoma. So now we have our piece here. paper off. And again, this one will say front passenger vapor barrier number 5. And you'll just place that on there. There we go. Just grab our roller, kind of get it rolled on. And again, just kind of make sure everything is rolled on and tight. Use your thumbs. There we go. So now lastly, and most importantly, let's get our airbag sensor plugged in. Make sure we hear that click. Give it a little tug on it, make sure it's not gonna just fall off. If it does, or if you forget to plug it in, you'll just have an airbag light on. You'll just have to remove the door and plug it back in. So now we are done with this door. Happy with it, maybe a little bit more. There we go. So now I can grab the front door panel, get it put back on and back together. So I'm gonna do that now. So now I have my door panel. I'm gonna go ahead and get everything wired back in. So first, I'm gonna grab my green that will go on the bottom, get that plugged in, then grab the white that will go up top. Make sure I get my switch harnesses up through and then get it all lined up. There we go. So I'm gonna get it plugged in. There we go. So I have both my harnesses here. So now I can go ahead and start bolting everything back together, starting with underneath the window switch. Underneath the armrest. And lastly, in the door handle. Perfect. Now we can throw all of our trim panels back on. So just line that up, push it backwards. There we go. Get our cover in here. Make sure you hear that click. Put our mirror trim back on. There we go. Pop in our little push pin. Again, push it out to place it back in, and then flat. And lastly, our window and door lock switch. Again, they are color coded, black and white. And then just gently get it into position and then push down. So now we are done with the passenger front door. We can move to the passenger rear door and then finish up this install. So now to the passenger rear door, exactly like the driver's rear door. Remove, we're gonna remove our window switch, 2 screws there, 1 screw there. Let's get it done. Again, be careful here. It's a sensitive area. So let's go ahead and get all the screws out. Now we can pop the door panel off. Again, we don't need to remove the trim panel because the door panel actually goes over top and snaps in. There we go. Now release your 2 cables. There we go, and set it aside. So just like the driver's rear door, we're gonna just go ahead and kind of take it all apart, unplug everything, and get everything out of the way. So I'm gonna start with the speaker. Get that unplugged. There we go. Now we'll unplug our 2 plugs and grab our panel popper. There we go. So now let's go ahead and remove the plastic vapor barrier. Again, not a huge deal if this doesn't all come off, but since they are new, you should be able to get most of it off. Let's get all of our wires out through. Let's grab our towel, just kind of wipe it down, get everything dry, clean. So now everything's clean. Since again, I'm doing the speaker kit, I've already pre-cut the speaker kit in 3s so I can get them in there. So I'm gonna grab them, do that first. So get my first one in. And get my second one in here. And lastly, we'll get the third one in. That'll go right on the support. There we go. Awesome. That's all in. So now from here, we can go ahead and grab our Soundskins kit, get it started on here, and get it laid out. If you're doing it the same way I'm doing it, you should only have one left. But if you started somewhere else, just look for number 6, passenger rear door panel. You'll be good to go. So let's go ahead, get some of the protective paper off. Get it up on the door panel. There we go. Now again, remember to put your cabling through the T here. There we go. So keep just placing, making sure that it's where you want it. And then pop this out. We'll get our wiring up through here. Alrighty, now we can take the rest of the paper off. So now that we're happy with where it is, go ahead, roll it on. Okay. Let's go ahead and get all of our cabling run back to where it needs to go. And our plugs back in. There we go. Perfect. I have my door lock cables, I have my speaker wire, and I have my window switch. So now I have to just cut out the hole for the speaker. There we go. Pretty right on there. So you can just take this extra, Stick it somewhere up on the door panel, just making sure you don't get in the way of the window. So now if we're happy, we can just kind of go over, make sure everything's kind of down, roll over it if we need to again. We're good. So now we can start putting stuff back together. Go ahead and put the factory speaker back in. Let's plug that in. So we're on the home stretch. All we have left to do is put our passenger rear door panel back on and then hop in and just kind of take a listen, see the difference, hear the difference. So let's grab our door panel, get it back on, get it all screwed back in. Don't forget to make your connections for your door locks, and then feed your window plug up through. Get it lined up. There we go. I have my window switch. So let's go ahead and grab our screws, get everything screwed back in. Grab our window switch, get that plugged back in. Last but not least, now that we've completed installing our Soundskins pre-cut kit into our 2024 Toyota Tacoma, now all that's left to do is go out, take it for a drive, turn the stereo up, and hear the difference between before and now. Less wind noise, better sounding audio, less rattles, all of which is what we were here to accomplish. So if you have any questions or are looking to purchase this Soundskins kit or any other Soundskins kit, please visit us at trailgridpro.com. And as always, guys, have a blast out there.